welcome.
Welcome back.
So I don't know about y'all, man, but it's been a long week already, man. Uh, but God is good, and thankful and grateful for all that He has done for me. Um, so welcome back. We are here once again, here to just have some conversation with you, right? I mean, we are just trying to be, a help to somebody, anybody, that may be struggling. If we have gone through something, and we can, uh, you know, sort of modestly put it out there and help somebody, who's going through whatever they're going through, and if we can offer some advice, that's what we want to do. So the first time we came on last week Thursday, we kind of talked a little bit about being ready to be in a relationship. We talked about setting boundaries, healthy boundaries in a relationship.
Hello, Esther.
Hi, Esther. So we put that out there. We wanted to be, uh, we wanted to just kind of define what relationships are, right, and let you know. We know that it's not easy by any stretch, right? Been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and so we just want to continue to be a help to people. Want to be, uh, as much as we can for you. So last week we talked about boundaries, right? We talked about, hey, you got to define what your relationship is gonna be, right? You can set those initial boundaries, but you got to, as a relationship grows, right? You got to make sure that you grow with it, and be able to uh, be flexible, as you grow, and those kinds of things. So boundaries are really important because it helps you shape what your relationship is going to be like, what it's going to look like, and hopefully, be able to. What was
I just showed her comment.
that?
That's a pretty cool feature.
Oh,
She said she absolutely loved the talk about boundaries.
oh, okay, okay. So, I mean, it's really important. I mean, people go into relationships, and they neglect to set up the foundation. We wonder why we have problems. You know, a year down the road, 6 months down the road, we start having issues. Is because we don't have defined roles. We don't have our relationship is not defined. We just say, hey, you look good. You look good. I want to be with you. Let's see if we can make this work, right? But we neglect to do the groundwork first. So boundaries. This is what we're trying to help people. Set the relationship up. For success, for sure. So today we want to talk just a little bit of Esther. Hey, but through those heartaches, I bet you learned a lot of good stuff. You said scoot up.
Yeah.
Oh,
How's that like?
it's dark.
Oh.
It's real dark.
It's hot.
It's
Sorry,
real.
y'all. We're live, and it is hot under these lights. So if we start sweating,
It's not because we're nervous. It's
Just-
because it's hot.
bear with us.
So,
Woo.
Esther, I know through a lot of those heartaches, right? You learned, and I'm hoping that maybe you grew through, a lot of the stuff that you went through. So we know that God always has a purpose for us, right? Sometimes the purpose that He has for us doesn't always feel good, or sometimes we got to go through things that feel kind of yucky. But through those things, we learn and we grow and we mature, and we start to become smarter, wiser, better, those kinds of things. So it's tough. Stick with it. It'll help you in the long run, right? Or get out of it. It's completely up to you. So let's go back a little bit because I screwed it up.
Okay.
So tonight we want to just talk a little bit about communication. Listen, I get really excited when I talk about communication, right? And I don't know if I'm going to communicate very well tonight, but I get really excited about it because I was terrible at communicating, and now I feel like I have become better a little bit, right? I mean,
A lot of it.
a lot of bit. Okay, and so I love talking about it, right? I learned about communication. It took me, a little bit of time to really understand what it meant. And so, going through, life, I finally learned that communication is extremely, extremely, extremely important.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important,
Okay.
1 being not that important.
Okay.
How important is it?
It's a 12.
It's a 12.
It's
Yeah,
12.
it's a 12.
So communication is really important, right? You say, well, why is communication important? because everything, I'm going to backtrack. Most everything that we go through in our relationships are built on communication, right? Whether we communicate well or we communicate poorly, communication is a big deal in relationships, period, point blank, end of sentence, simply because it's the way that we get information from one point to the other point, right? So when we communicate, a lot of times uh, when we start communicating, we don't always uh, know how, right? So people have learned how to communicate from many different ways, right? Uh, where you grew up, you learn how to communicate through watching TV. You learn how to communicate through um, being around friends. I mean, just your environment teaches you how to communicate. And so if you're in an environment where communication is very poor, then you're going to learn to communicate in a very poor way, right? But the good news is there's always hope. You can always learn how to communicate better, right? So communication, right? It's the intent to get information from one point to another point, right? People talk to you. Why do people talk to you? They talk to you because they want you to know something, right? Either they're trying to entertain you, they're trying to get information to you, or they're trying to get information from you, right? So communication is really important, and we have a lot of ways where we communicate, verbally, non-verbally, those kinds of things. So when people, you're talking to somebody and they got their arms folded, right? They're kind of closed off. Then you can automatically perceive that they are not in the mood to listen or to communicate in an effective way, right? So that's nonverbals, right? I mean, we learn how to communicate. We see if people are engaged in the conversation or not, right? And so sometimes, especially in relationships. I remember hearing about a book a long time ago, and it was called uh, "Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus," right? And so it was kind of explaining a lot of the differences between men and women, and a lot of things that they do differently. And so communication is a big, 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 big factor in relationship, right? Okay, I'm talking a lot. You want
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, what's up, Cuzzo? Deshaun, how you doing, man? It's good to see you. Other cousin Michael Carson, we see you on here, man. Need a touch like no other, but total change. I know it's off subject, I'm ready to change my life around. Amen. Listen, hit me up after this, man. We can talk. Uh, pray with you, man. I got you. Um, so when we communicate, right? Communication is very important because you need to understand, uh, how to receive and how to give information. Now, sometimes when we communicate, it's not always the best. Like I said before, we learn how to communicate from different ways, right? And so, like we talked about last week, when you take somebody from one background and then somebody from another background, you put them together and you tell them, hey, talk to one another. There are going to be some things that people say differently, uh, uh, and there are going to be some things that don't really register sometimes, and so you have to go back and you have to kind of break it down to its really a most simple form, right? And so until you build a communication language within your relationship, right, it's better to communicate on the most plain level, period. Uh, Wendell and Andrea, can you communicate too much? Uh, are there some things better left unsaid? That is a really good question.
That's a real good question.
You want to take this?
Some things are definitely better left unsaid. Um, I don't want to say you can communicate too much, but I think that you could definitely pray about it before you discuss some things, especially if something happened, like, let's say something in the past and you have already forgiven um, your spouse or significant other, and then, like, it's been squashed, you're forgiven, you decide to move on, and then you just feel some type of way, you're still being attacked with that. um, you can let them know, but just be careful on, how you approach them and make sure they don't feel like you didn't forgive them, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I think that communication is good, and that you definitely, there's some definitely, you don't want to say everything comes to mind. So yes, some things are better left unsaid.
And so I'll add on to that just a little bit. Um, Over communication is better than under communication, right? So if you're having a discussion with your partner, right, and you want them to change the light bulb, right, but you don't want them to change the light bulb the way they want to change. You want them to change it the way you want it changed. And you say, well, I want you to do A, B, C, and D, right? And say, don't forget, I want you to do it like this, right? So it's better for you to break it down for them to understand exactly what you want, exactly uh, how it is that you want it done. So over communicating is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's better for them to know, how you feel and what you expect, rather than them not know, and then something happens and now we got a bigger situation. So uh, to say, can you communicate too much? I'm going to say no, because I've just learned how to better communicate, and I'm going to communicate as much as I possibly can. So, communicate too much? I don't think so. Things that are better left unsaid. Um, I would say, you have to use wisdom in that. If it's going to cause an uproar, right? I would definitely hold off on it, right? But if it's something that you need some clarity on, if it's something that you need some closure on, then I would go to your spouse, your partner, and say, look, this has been kind of going on with me. I need to understand more about this. I need you to answer those questions. I need you to answer those questions for me, so that we can get some closure, and then move on to a better place. So if you are in a position, we're talking about communication. If you're in a position where you are angry and you are not able to articulate, uh, what it is that you want to say without being overly angry, or it causing something bigger to happen, then I would say calm down first,
Definitely.
and then come back and and then reattack just a little bit later. So I think it's better left unsaid if you are not able to describe in really good detail how you want, without it causing anything else to be compromised, hurt, or that start an argument or disagreement at that time. So
Right.
so yes, that's what I would say. I would say, if you're not able to communicate effectively, then yes, leave it unsaid at that time. But if it's something that's important to you, make sure you come back to it.
Yeah. Nestor commented, if it doesn't uplift, then maybe not share it.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
For sure.
Use wisdom. We love you too, Sean. Thanks for sharing. If y'all just remember, he's just sharing our YouTube link. Go on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube. These are uploaded on YouTube as well. That's a great question, though, Wendell and Andrea. I'm not really sure which one, but that was a great question.
And so it's in line with communication, right? How do you communicate effectively, right? The way we communicate effectively is when we know that our partner has heard and understood what we say, and that is done through a process called validation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we do this. Uh, Explain the ramifications of just having to get your point across right now. And so we're going into that right now. So through validation, okay. So validation is basically, let's just say it was Andrea. And so basically, what it is uh, confirming that your partner or your spouse heard what you said by having them like kind of like ultimately repeat it, right? So like my wife and I, we practiced this before, but it's called speaker listening, right? And so get this, most of the time when we communicate, right, we don't typically communicate to process information, right? 9 times out of 10, we are listening to respond to what you say, right? Especially if we're in a heated disagreement. I'm not listening to you to interpret what you're saying. I'm listening to you to pick up on key words that you're saying, because when you are done saying what you're saying, because I'm going to give you that respect, when you're done saying what you're saying, I am getting ready to spit fire, right? And I'm picking up on words like don't and never and you should or you need to, or those kinds of things. And so those are the big words that kind of stick out in our minds. And so those are the words that we play off of when it's our turn to respond. So all the time when we communicate, we don't listen to interpret, we listen to respond. And so like we're conditioned, to respond in certain ways. People walk past you and they say, "Hey, good morning." You say, "Good morning," right? Say, "How you doing?" "I'm good. How are you?" Right? It's just automatic, right? And so a lot of times we don't, how stumped would you be, or how confused would you be if you asked somebody, "Hey, how you doing?" and they stopped and said, "Well, last week I went through this, and then the week before that I went through this," and you didn't really expect them to go kind of that deep into it, but you asked the question, right? "How you doing?" So if they take the time just to say, "Well, I'm really not all right," right? But you might be running late for something, but you didn't anticipate sitting there and them answering your question with a paragraph. Right? You were just wanting to get that short answer that you've always gotten. "Good, how are you?" or "I'm okay," or "I'm fine," or something like that. But then they break it down and keep it 100% real with you, and you weren't really waiting. You weren't ready for that, right? And so we're conditioned to respond a certain way, right? And when we listen to respond, not to interpret. And so a lot of times when we communicate with our spouse or with our partners, we don't take the time to interpret. We take the time to listen to what they say, pick up on those key words, and then I'm gonna respond to the key words that I think are important. Instead of saying, "Okay, what I hear you saying is this, and this." Or, "Look, to me, what I heard you say was," or, "Okay, so it sounds like, you mean something, something, something," right? We skip past that part and say, "You say I never, but you don't ever, blah, 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 blah." And we could, yeah, let's go tit for tat. And uh, we completely missed the point. Kim said it definitely would baffle you, but we completely missed the point, right? It's just, we missed the point of communication, period. And that's just to get information from one point to the other, right? Ask yourself, why is this person talking to me? What is the reason that you're coming to me? Are you trying to get information from me? If you are, let me find out what it is. And I'm going to give you, if I can, what it is you want from me. And so when we talk about, communicating effectively, when we talk about the speaker listener, we're talking about one person talking at a time and the other person listening, right? And so you give your partner just a little bit of what if you give them just a little bit of what it is that you want them to know. You give them an opportunity to kind of process what you said, and then they tell you what you said in their own words, right? It's kind of robotic, right? I mean, it's kind of kind of weird at first because we're not taught to communicate like that. We're not taught to listen like that. But it builds the foundation of listening and responding. And most importantly, it builds the foundation of validating what your partner said. What does Sean say? What if my emotions take over or I'm arguing based on a thought, not a fact? That happens all the time, Um, how often are you engaged in conversations where you're just presenting, straight up facts, right? Most of the times, most of the time, if I'm arguing with somebody, right, it's gone beyond me presenting a fact. Now I'm presenting my emotional opinion about whatever it is we're talking about. We were talking about washing the dog, right? Studies show that if you wash a dog, I don't know what studies show, but if studies show that you wash a dog 3 times a week, they smell better or whatever, right? And then, you can kind of get off into a situation where you're like, "Well, I'm not washing the dog 3 times a week because then I went on my water bill, right? And I got to buy shampoo for the dog and all this other kind of stuff and leave the bathtub messy." And on another note, when the bathtub messy, nobody ever clean it out. You don't ever clean it out. You always leave it for me, and then the bathroom get dirty and blah, 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 blah. And here we go in a tailspin over something that started off, something so simple, but then my emotions took over. See, when your emotions take over, it's a process called uh, it's an idea that I teach pretty often. It's called self-awareness, right? When you are in a situation and you feel your mood start to change, right? Angry, upset, whatever it is, then it is not wise to continue to disagree with someone if your mood is changing and you are not receiving, and you know that you're not going to be able to receive what they said, right? Because it becomes a battle, right? You get off point. Then it becomes a battle, right? Now we're not listening to each other. Now we're just sitting here and we are trying to match each other's emotional response, right? If I'm yelling at you and I'm coming in this high, and you're gonna come in to match me. You're like this, right? And when I realize that you matched me, I'm gonna take it one step higher. When I realize you took it one step higher, I'm gonna go higher. So we're not communicating anymore. We're not communicating anymore. We're just matching emotional responses. And when we're matching emotional responses, we're completely off topic. We're completely not listening. We're completely not communicating. Now I'm trying to win, right? You're not gonna beat me because I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. And you can win an argument, for sure you can, right? You can win one, right? You can win several, you can win them all. But what does it cost you to win an argument? At what cost? What is it worth to win an argument? If you know you're right, you're right. If you know it, right, and you can go to, a book and prove it, or you can go to, outside and look, whatever it is you were talking about or you disagreed on, if you know you're right, then you're right. Right. And so what good is it gonna do you to sit here and match emotional responses, becoming upset and more upset and more upset and more upset, and now ain't nobody getting no hugs and kisses, right? Because I wanted to win, I won, but yeah, you won, and you ain't getting no hugs and kisses.
And didn't communicate effectively.
That's right. But more importantly, you ain't getting no hugs and kisses, right? So that's really important to me. I love hugs and kisses. Okay, off topic. I'm sorry. But then we talk about it, right? We look at is it worth it for me to disrupt the peace in my home for me to win an argument?
Right. Because in a home, your children feel that.
Hmm.
And if you don't have children, your home is still disrupted
For sure,
for nothing.
for sure. And so, um, communicating, right? I mean, it is the core of relationships. It is what relationships are built off of. It is what keeps the wheels turning in relationships. It is what uh, you know keeps sort of everything in check, is the ability to be able to receive and give information effectively, right? And so, uh, like I said before, when we talk about uh, being in disagreements, right? And I don't necessarily. I believe that in a relationship, your the way that you speak to one another is really important, right? So if you're telling your partner or your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, uh, you know, you use words like fight, right? You use words like, uh, you know, divorce, right? These are harsh words, right? And the more you use these words, you desensitize yourself to them, and it becomes, common language in your home. And so words that shouldn't be that common when you're supposed to be speaking soft love words. You're saying, well, we fight, but you don't really fight with your, excuse me, you're not supposed to fight with your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend, because when I think of fight, I think of, we're coming at each other, we're fighting, right? And so it's a very harsh, a very violent word. You can disagree, right? You can get into an argument. Those are acceptable. It is not unhealthy to disagree with your significant other. It is not, because you're two different people. You're gonna have two different opinions. It's gonna happen, right? Now, if you're disagreeing every hour, right? If you're disagreeing, every 30 minutes, then you might want to, book an appointment with me and let me sit down and talk with y'all. We can work stuff out with us. We can help work through some of that stuff. But anyways, um, it's not wrong to disagree, right? But we have to look at the frequency and the intensity, right? If it's every now and then when you disagree, okay, like, do your thing. All right, it's not bad. So communication is really important. It's really important to learn how your partner speaks, right? And what certain words mean to them. Uh, what 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 things make them, you know, we all know certain things that can tip the bucket over, and make our partner upset, or you know how to push those buttons. It is what it is. That's what happens when you learn somebody. That's what happens when you become close to somebody. You learn them. You learn how they operate. You learn how they communicate. You learn how they love. Uh, all that good stuff. So when we talk about it, we talk about the right way is my way, or else. Oh
It's
my
not good.
gosh! Come on, guys. Uh, so when we talk about that, we talk about learning them, right? And it's really important that we take the time to be able to learn your partner, right? You can't. Some people take what they learned from the previous relationship, right? And they kind of tie it into their current relationship, and that really kind of does you a disservice because you're not with the same person, right? You got to take time to spend that time, right? Communication is sitting down, with no distractions, right? And just kind of just talking, and kind of getting it out there. The same thing you did to get her or him is the same thing you have to do to keep her or him, right?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what if you don't feel like you are an effective verbal communicator? How else would you say that couples can communicate until they get to that point where they can, you know, verbally talk? So, I may tell you something, but I don't like the way you're looking at me, and so I'm gonna get off topic just because of like Sean said, because of a thought. He's looking at me funny because, and you just get off topic. So, what other ways can somebody effectively communicate?
Writing letters, right? Text messages,
Emails.
emails, right? And there have been some times when my wife and I have disagreed, and I feel like I can articulate uh, better through an email, right? That way, I'm taking myself away from the situation. I'm taking myself away from uh, whatever it is that's kind of blocking me at that moment, and I can get away, and I'm able to think more clearly. Right? I'm able to articulate some of the things that I wanted to say, or maybe because we were in the heat of a disagreement, I was not able to. I wasn't able to tell you exactly what it is I wanted to tell you because there was a certain look on my face, or there was a certain way that I had my arms crossed, whatever. And so just taking that time to take yourself away from whatever it is, you guys are battling, and then you're able to kind of articulate a little bit better, through an email or through a text message, or you can write a letter and say, hey, I know things kind of got out of hand when we were face to face, but I want you to understand what I was trying to say. I didn't really mean it like this. I didn't really mean it like that. This is what I was trying to say, and I want, you to understand it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
I like that love languages. Knowing, I think it's important to know your love language and your spouse's or significant other's love language. That's good.
For sure. For sure. There was another one.
Text messages are often misunderstood. Very true.
It's true. It's true. They are often misunderstood. Uh, I was reading, Andrea asked the question, I think.
Oh, they just said, like, whenever your partner says, you already know me, so they don't have to communicate in the situation.
Wrong. You have to communicate. You have to communicate, especially if your partner is wanting you to communicate. Right? You gotta compromise, right? And you gotta break down and say, okay, you do know me for sure. You know me, but what is it that What's the misunderstanding right now, right? I've been there. I've been there too. I told my wife, you already know how I am, right? You already know how I am. So what's the big deal here? But there is a big deal, right? Because now we're not dismissing their concerns. We're not dismissing the fact that they want to communicate something to me. I'm acknowledging the fact that you want something from me, right? And so I'm going to give you that, right? I may not be able to answer the question right now, but I'm at least going to respect you enough to sit down and listen to you. Even though you do know me, I still owe you that, right? So you may know me, yeah, for sure. But in this instance, right, we got something going on that we need to resolve. Let's resolve it. Why not? So they can break the ice for sure. Text, yeah. Um, Misunderstood because of misrepresentation of emotion. That is absolutely correct, Sean. I mean, I don't like to use emojis unless I know that my wife is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So I use the heart emoji. That means love, and I use the eyes with the hearts, and that means love. And I use the little kissy face, and she knows what that means.
I'm not gonna do a kissy face on you.
But she knows, right? And so but we keep it simple, when it's time for us, if we're trying to resolve an issue, we don't we try to minimize the amount of emojis that we use and kind of get straight to the point.
And it took a lot of work. But like we said earlier, it doesn't come easy.
For sure.
Takes a lot of work.
For sure. So communication is really important, guys. I can't really stress enough how important it is to learn what your spouse's love language is, right? And the five love languages. We have the book here somewhere.
I'll go get it. I'll be right back.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Okay. And so five love languages is a book that is definitely a relationship. Uh, I won't say saver, but it's definitely a help in a relationship because once you learn how to speak your spouse's or significant others' love language, then you know how to talk to them and you know how to relate to them. And sometimes you know why it is that they feel a certain way. Um, and so we try to be, as intentional as possible, to be able to communicate in a more effective way. So I always call it, filling the emotional cup, right? So you have an emotional cup, and your significant other has an emotional cup, and it is your duty to fill that emotional cup each and every day. It's your job, right, to fill that emotional cup. To say, hey, this is something that I really want. Uh, I want our relationship to grow. I want our relationship to thrive. I want our relationship to be built on something great, right? And so when I fill your emotional cup, that's just part of it, right? And so when you fill the emotional cup, uh, they feel like you respect them, and you want them to feel wanted. That's a big thing in a relationship, is to feel wanted, right? And so my wife has gone and she has gotten the five love languages. Highly recommend this bad boy. It is good stuff.
By Gary Chapman.
Gary Chapman. They've got it on audiobook. They've got it paperback. They've got it all kinds of ways. So if you've never seen it, don't know about it, there it is. Invest in it. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So that's just one way to communicate, speaking their love language, right? Um, and so when we talk about communicating effectively, right, I mean, we can definitely communicate it effectively, right? So, and then being comfortable, communicating is one thing that I feel is really important too. Not being afraid, to ask, not being afraid uh, to tell your spouse, your significant other, what it is that you want, what it is that you need, right? Being in a position where, you're treating them as a mind reader is putting them at a disadvantage, and you're kind of setting yourself up for trouble, right? So not being afraid to just be out there, speak your mind, within reason, and ask them uh, for what you need or tell them what you need, right? Um, so me, for example, right? I'm gonna say this again. My wife knows me, right? And so usually, when I come home, and I've communicated this, to her before. Usually, when I come home, I try to. Uh, I have a point where I need to debrief, right? because a long day at work, dealing with a lot of stuff, you want to have time to come home and you want to breathe a little bit, right? And so sometimes when I come home and I'm in a awkward mood, right, my wife can kind of automatically go to what she knows about me, right? And so if I come home and I'm kind of in a mood, then she knows, one, it's either really hot outside, right, and I'm wearing a long sleeve, and I'm just wanting to change. Two, uh, what else is it?
You can say online.
Uh,
In the restroom. You have to use the restroom.
Gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah. Okay, that's one thing, right? And there's another thing. What?
You just need to sit down and
Okay.
just sit down from a long day's work.
Right. And so me communicating that to her helps her know
That's
that
good advice.
helps her know that when I come in the house and I'm in an awkward mood, that it's not personal,
Right.
And so she understands that sometimes I just need to wind down, right? And so if she gives me that opportunity to be able to wind down, then we can pick up what we need to pick up and move on to what we need to move on to. And so it's saying that sometimes you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to seem rude, right? But you do more damage when you don't, right? When you don't let them know what's going on. Ooh, Andrea, you coming with the fire tonight, man. Make me earn my money. What if you want to communicate when you don't feel heard, just blown off? You want to take that one?
What if you want to communicate? Don't feel hurt? I think for me and my experience when that has happened in the past, there's really you have to think about what you can control in the situation. I am in 0% control of my spouse, right? He's in 0% control of me. So what am I in control of? And then I think about, okay, well, what percentage of that? So I'm probably in our communication, 50% is my responsibility, I would say. So am I doing everything in my 50% to communicate? If he doesn't want to hear me, then I've written letters. I've emailed, and I took it to the Lord in prayer. And that's just what it is. Like, truthfully and honestly, I took a lot of stuff to God and cut out the middleman, if you will. And eventually, God will bring things to him, and then he'll come to me, and I don't even have to discuss it with them. So that's how, I've handled it in the past.
True enough.
Do everything that you can do to communicate and give it to God.
So listen, I think we said this, our first session is relationships are not one and done. It's not, we said this and then we're done. It's going to be great for the rest of our life, right? Relationships are work, and they take daily, this is 0%. They take daily work. I mean, every day you've got to put a little bit more into your relationship every day, right? Just like you go to work, you have a job that pays you, your employer expects you to do something, to earn the wages that they're paying you. Mm-hmm. And so in a relationship, if you want love, if you want commitment, if you want trust, if you want honesty, things you're going to have to do every day are the things that are going to bring you, the things that you want. So you're going to have to do it every day. There are going to be some days where you don't feel like it, right? Nobody says you're going to feel like, doing it every day, right? It's not something that is mandated, that you feel good doing it every day, mm-hmm. right? You do it because you want to do it, right? And because you value your relationship, and relationships are important to you. Your spouse is important to you, mm-hmm. so you sacrifice. Sometimes you don't feel like it, but sometimes you just do it. Okay. Oh, and so basically what it is when you don't feel like communicating, when you feel like you're being blown off, right? Take time to evaluate the entire situation and say, look, what's going on here? They don't typically blow me off, but why are you doing it now, right? What's going on in this time that's causing this disruption in our relationship? So what's going on, that's causing, this type of behavior from you, right? Sometimes if you just take a step back from it, and you look at the entire situation, you're able to kind of pinpoint exactly what's going on. And you're able to go and you're able to make it, to either give them space until they're ready to communicate and do things the right way, you know, or you bring it up, right? I mean, so it is work, man. I'm telling you, my wife and I've been married for almost 18 years now, and it is work, right? But it's worthy work, right? It's something that you want to do to make sure that you're giving your relationship all of you, so that you can get all of it, in return. So.
And I was gonna say that men and women are different. So, like me, I want to talk about it right now. I want to talk about it right now. I want to process it right now. I want to get down to it right now. Marvin needs to process things, and it can come off like he's blowing me off or he didn't hear me. And I'll say, "Are you ignoring me? Are you blowing me off?" And he's like, "No, I'm just processing."
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to knowing your spouse or significant other, stepping back from the situation.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get that that we get locked in, and we get our sights focused on just one thing, and we want it right now, right now, right now, right now. Right? If we just give it just a little bit of time, right, to be able to, kind of evolve and you can look at it and say, okay, so this is what was going on, right? We take a step back, we're able to see the entire scenario, and it makes things a little bit easier to work with. So if it's happening like that, take a step back, look at what's going on, and see how can I, reattack this, in a more positive way.
Yeah.
So,
Another question.
what do you do when your patience is worn thin and you are always the one in the relationship attempting to keep things on an even playing field? Let it be known, right? I mean, when something like that happens, it's gradual, right? It's something that has worn on the relationship, and so now you're at a point where you're just like, man, I'm frustrated, right? I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm the only one working in this, right? That's when you write the letter. That's when you suggest the the quiet time. That's when you suggest sort of the date night to kind of pull yourselves away from everything else, and you're able to focus and say, look, this is what I've noticed in the relationship, and this is what I need from you, right? There's a difference. There are things that you want in a relationship, and there are things that you need in a relationship. And so if we're going to be in a relationship, right, I need to let you know what it is that I need, right? And so if I feel like I'm the only one doing the hard work, doing the heavy lifting, then I need you to get under this relationship with me and help me lift, right? And that's where the boundaries come in, right? You say, hey, if we're going to talk and we're going to resolve things, then we need to figure out a way that we're going to be able to do that on a consistent basis, right? You should never be in a position where you feel like you're doing more of the heavy lifting in the relationship, because if you feel like that, then there's a breakdown. We got to figure out where it is, right? And so that's when you have that conversation. In a relationship, conversations are tough to have sometimes, but if you want to make it through, if you want, to be in a strong relationship, you have to have those difficult conversations sometimes and say, look, this is where I am, right? I don't really understand how I got here, but I'm here, right? Help me through this, right? I need your help.
Right. Good stuff.
Good stuff. Y'all making me really communicate. I think I was going to be communicating.
I'm sharing a lot of good comments from Kim Stevenson. I hope y'all are catching it. She said the last one was sometimes silence is golden. Wait for the time to figure out the root of why you feel not heard.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, because sometimes we all in our fields, we can be there, right? We can be there. My mom used to tell me when I was younger that there was an hour a day, there was an hour out of every month that I was just not the easiest to get along with. And so uh, I didn't realize that until I got older, that that was the absolute truth, right? And so I became more aware of that over the years, right? And then I have to check myself too, right? So not only do I have to make sure that my relationship is functioning, but I also have to make sure that I'm functioning, right? I got to be accountable to myself for some of the things that I do, for all the things that I do in my relationship. And once I'm accountable to me, then I'll be accountable to my relationship. So
So self-awareness,
self-awareness,
validation.
validation is a big one.
Do we cover any other points?
Huh? I don't think so.
I think that's self-awareness and validation.
Yeah. So listen, the more we keep ourselves in check, the more that we, work on us, right? Because everybody always wants to, jump and say, well, my relationship isn't the best, right? But both, parties are, dealing with a lot of stuff individually, right? So that's the piece that we talked about, being ready to be in a relationship. Sometimes people jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, looking for, love, looking for happiness when they're not even happy before they get in a relationship, but they're looking for a relationship to make them happy. That's not going to happen, right? If you're not happy going into a relationship, then the relationship that you're going into is not going to make you happy, right? We're just looking for reasons, to not deal with what is going on with me personally, with what's going on the inside of me. Take the time to make sure that you are good. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you can't have you time. It does not mean that, right, at all.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. So I mean, and that's real talk. Just because you're in a relationship, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you can't make sure that you're good, because that's part of the issue. Sometimes we neglect ourselves for giving everything to our relationship, right? Then we wonder why things are falling apart, is because I'm not I don't have anything left to give, right? But you got to make sure that you are building yourself up. You got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And when you're able to take care of yourself and you find love within yourself and you find respect within yourself, then it's easier for you to respect other people. It's easier for you to love other people. It's easier for you to understand other people when you first do it to yourself, right? And people have unresolved issues, man, in their lives even before they get married. Right? It's just a matter of fact. It's just the point of life. People go through things all the time, but you got to understand, right, that if you're not good, then you can't be good for other people. Right? So, me time is good. Working on communicating, understanding, uh, you know, why people are communicating and what people are doing. Uh, you know, the point that they're trying to get across to you, understanding that, right, and then being open and being willing to compromise is a deal, big deal. So, uh, working on communication is, I mean, like I said before, it is the absolute foundation of a relationship, is communicating, and it is necessary, necessary, necessary.
That's good.
Yeah, Andrea said it took me years to be able to say I need space, and know it was okay to say that.
Right.
For sure.
Because you feel bad when you're a wife and a mom, and all these people need you and depend on you. But it is, I'm great that you are doing that. It is very necessary. And I'm glad that you're okay with that, most importantly.
Yeah. Now, some people feel like I'm running out, or I'm abandoning. No, it's not abandoning, right? When you come back, right? You got to come back. When you meet time, come back, right? When you get your feet up under you, come back, right? There's nothing in the rule book that says you can't take me time, right? In fact, it's encouraged. For you to do that, break away from the stresses of everyday life. The hubbub of the kids and dinner and work and all that kind of stuff, and treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
We got to do that. We love Parks and Recreation. Treat yourself.
Yeah, we got that from that. We're gonna totally get T-shirts to say "Treat yourself."
Treat yourself. We're gonna do it. Tina, if you're watching, get those shirts ready. Treat yourself. But anyways, so communicating is a really important part of a relationship, right? Listen, we're not always going to get it right. We're not always going to uh, you know, do the right thing. We're not always going to, win an argument. We're not always going to, uh, you know, understand fully. We're not always going to, do what it is that other people think that we should do, right? As far as a relationship is concerned, we're not always going to be, that perfect husband or perfect wife. There's no such thing, right? But as long as we continue to try, as long as we continue to be, in a position of, I want to be better, I want to do better, and work at it, right? Put that one foot in front of the other one every day, right? What's she say?
Go ahead, and I'll read it.
Oh, and so as long as we are in a place where we are, open to being better, open to improvement, right? There's always something that we can learn to do better. Always, 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 always. Keep an open mind, right? Step back from a situation if it is causing you, uh, you know, anxiety or whatever it is that's causing you to be frustrated, right? Take a step back from it, right? Look at it and say, well, what is it that I can do to make the situation just a little bit better, right? Or how am I contributing to, the static that's going on in this thing right now? Let me just take a step back, assess the situation, and then I can reattack, right? So communicating is a big deal, right? Self-awareness is a big deal. Always room to grow, right? Three things, and validation. Four. Right? Make sure they heard what you said. Ask them, did you hear what I said? Right?
Right. Did you hear me?
Yeah. If they say no, you say no, that's not what I said. If they say no, then you say it again. Right? If they say, I heard what you said, then you say, tell me. Right? And if they tell you and it's not what you said, you say, no, this is what I said. Right. Now tell me what I said.
Right. Just last week, like right after our first conversation with the Coxes, we said we were going to do it on communication. And I promise you, this whole week, we've had so many examples of non-effective communication. What you were trying to tell me? Oh, he's like, Raj, you moved the towels. And I was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, yes, you did. And I was like, no, I didn't. And I was talking about towels in a closet. And he was talking about a towel behind the door. So I clearly was not listening to him. But we resolved that peacefully.
Peacefully.
But I was just like, wow, I need to be quiet. Completely, listen.
Self-awareness.
Instead of always trying to respond.
Self-awareness.
So
17 years later, we're still working on it. God ain't through with me yet.
Andrea said she's gonna tell Wendell that we said she can go treat herself next time she goes shopping. Don't you put that on us, Ricky Bobby.
Hey, tell him. Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, we had a wonderful time chatting with you all tonight. I'm a little tired today for some reason, but
it's been a long week.
I guess it's like that sometimes. But we're definitely going to continue to lift you all up in prayer. We're definitely going to continue to let God use us and come on here with conversations with the Coxes. We hope that you all enjoy it. We hope that you get something from it.
For sure. So, if you have any questions for us, you can hit us up. You can message us on here. United Family Ministries on Facebook, YouTube. Right, hit us up. We are going to reach out and we are going to see if we can get some other people on here to talk with us. Instead of y'all hearing my voice and her voice all the time, mostly mine. We want to dip into that knowledge pool. And we want to be able to share. Right, we want to learn some things too. So we're going to do that. We're going to try to grow and expand this. If you want to, be a guest, hit us up, and we will make sure that we do our best. When I say we, I mean my wife.
Right. Just showing that YouTube link.
Yeah, because she's the technology maestro.
Yeah. You see me moving around a lot. That's because I am the director. I'm the producer. I'm the tech. So I hope y'all are not bothered by that. I'm doing my best.
Yeah. So just want to close it in prayer, and then we'll get out of here. So Lord, we just thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you because you are God. We thank you, oh God, for the eyes that will read this, Lord, for the ears that will hear this. And Father God, we just pray that if there's anything that is plaguing the relationship, oh God, we ask, oh God, that you just give us the strength, or give them the strength, oh God, to be able to rectify whatever situation is going on, God. We ask that you restore relationships, oh God. We ask uh, that you just touch, oh God, that you just heal. And Father, we ask that you just give us the insight, oh God, to know that if something's going wrong with us, Lord, to seek it out, to see what's going on with us, oh God, and to help us be a productive part of a relationship, oh God. We just thank you because we know that through relationships we learn so many characteristics of you: forgiveness, love, uh, uh, just mercy. We just thank you because we know that this is that a relationship is an institution that is ordained by you, and we come against every attack of the enemy, Lord, on every marriage. We come against every attack of the enemy on every family, oh God. And we just thank you right now, Lord, that you would just continue to lead us and guide us, oh God, in all truth and in all righteousness. We love you. We adore you. We praise you. We give you all the honor and glory, and all the praise is yours anyway. For it is in the matchless name of Jesus Christ that we do pray. Amen and amen and amen.
Amen.
Be blessed.
Yes, and before we go, I just want to say, if you do want to join, how it will work is you'll message us through United Family Ministries or Marvin or myself, and we will send you a link. And in that link, it will bring you into this broadcast. So just let us know. There's a lot of wisdom out there as well. So we welcome you. Any topics you want to discuss, just let us know. Okay?
But you better count to make it.
All right. God bless you all.